In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a new rainbow loom wide flower sculpture bracelet. It's the same concept as the other flower sculpture bracelet, only this time we'll be using all 3 rows of the loom instead of just 2. So I will be showing you how to make this bracelet on just 1 loom. However, you can use 2 looms placed end to end to make the bracelet twice as long, because this does tend to be on the short side. So you will definitely have to add several extension bands using 1 loom, and you may even have to add a few bands if you use 2 looms. So you want to start with the arrows facing towards you, with all of these open ends facing you, and you want to have the loom set up in a staggered position so that the pins are not in line with one another, and you need to choose your colors. With 1 loom you will be able to make 4 flowers, and with 2 looms you will be able to make 8 flowers. So you will need 15 bands of each color for every flower. So I have 30 pink bands here because I'm going to make 2, and I have 30 red bands because I'm going to be making 2 of those as well. And then for your main bracelet part, you will need 90 bands, and I have chosen white for this. Plus you will need about 8 to 10 extension bands, and I have chosen white for the background and for my extension bands. So we will start by placing the flowers on the loom. So for the first band placement, we're going to go to the 3rd pin in from the left side of the loom, and the band is going to stretch up and diagonally to the left and twist. And you want to push that down. And now from here we're going to go forward and twist. And then from here forward again and twist. And now from here we're coming down diagonally to the left and twist. And then finally from here we're going back to the start and twist. We're just twisting that bottom layer. And now we want to put a second layer on. So we're going to repeat that same pattern. From here we're going diagonally up and to the left. There's no need to twist anymore. From here we're going over, and then from here over again, and then from here down to the bottom, and then over to the left. And so now you should have 2 layers on. There should be 4 bands on all of these pins. And what we want to do is remove that bottom 2 bands, just that bottom layer. So you're going to take the very bottom band, pull it out and over the top into the middle, take a second band and repeat. Then we'll move up to this next pin, grab that bottom band and then a second one. Going to flip to the other side to that center row, grabbing this bottom band from the outside here, pulling it over the top, and then grab this next bottom band and pull it over. Again, in this middle, we're going to that bottom band from the outside, pulling it over into the middle, and then again. And finally, you're grabbing this bottom band, pulling it into the middle, and then that second one that's from the bottom. And now you want to push all of this down. And now we're going to add 1 more layer. So in that same pattern, we'll start here and go up, and then over, and then back down, and then from here back to the start, And then once again, we're going to remove that bottom layer, so the bottom 2 bands. Now what you can do, if you feel comfortable, is to grab both of these bottom bands at once and pull them over the top. If you want to do them one at a time, that's fine. But I'm just going to do 2 at a time from now on. Go to the other side, get these bottom 2, pull it over the top and into the middle. Again, you're taking those bottom 2 from the outside and pulling them into the middle. And then finally, the bottom 2 and pulling them over. And then we're going to push all of this down again. And now for the next flower, we're going to go on the other side of the loom. So if you find this center row where you just left off, you want to go diagonally to the right. It's going to be what a long stretch would be. It's down here. So if you're not sure exactly, if you count over, it will be the 6th pin in from the end of the loom on that top row, and the band is going to be placed into that center row diagonally to the left. So I'm going to switch to red, and it's going to come down diagonally to the left and twist. So you can see that now these are right next to each other. And now from here we're going to go forward and twist and push down, and then again you're moving forward and twist, and then from here you're going diagonally up to the left and twist, and then finally back to the start and twist. And now we want to add a second layer. So again, we're starting here on the top row on the left hand side and coming into the center. There's no need to twist anymore. We're moving to the right. And now back up to the top row and then back to the start. And so now at this point you have the 2 layers on, and you want to remove that bottom layer, which is 2 bands. So I'm going to be grabbing 2 bands at once again. I'm going to just start here, pull both bands over the top. I'll just work my way around. And now in the center row, you're grabbing the bottom 2 bands. I'm just going to do these one at a time. It's a little harder to grab because this other row of pins is in the way. And here I have both bands, pulling them from the outside over into the middle, and again here over the top and into the center. Push this all down, and one more layer. We're starting at this top pin and moving into the center, and then moving forward, and then again, and now back up to the top and back to the start. And now again I'm going to be removing the bottom 2 bands from all of these pins. Just going around, and now push down. Now if you wanted to, you could be adding yellow for this last layer if you want to have a look of the yellow in the middle of the flower, and I do show you how to do that on the other video. So if you want to see that, you can take a look at that video. And now we're going to switch back to pink, and again from this center pin where I left off, I'm stretching diagonally to the right down to this bottom row. So this is the pin I'm going to start on, and the band is going to get placed diagonally up and to the left and twist. So you can see again when it's on that these two bands are on pins that are right next to each other. You don't want them overlapping at all. And now we're moving forward and twist. And then again, only just twisting this bottom layer and then back down to that bottom row and back to the start. And now we want to add a second layer, so we're starting here at the bottom. Just going to work my way around in the same pattern. Now I want to remove the bottom two bands, so I will grab them both at once. And then push all of this down. And now I have one more layer to do. And now I'm going to remove the bottom two bands once again. And do the same thing over here. Now push all of this down. And now I have one more flower to do. So again, where we left off, diagonally up here is where the first band placement is going to go. It's the second one over from the far right side of the loom. The band is going into the center row and twist. And then over, just twisting this very bottom layer. It's all the way to the end of the loom. And then back to the start. And then repeat that again. You should be getting pretty good at this by now after making 3 other flowers. And now we want that bottom layer to come off, the bottom 2 bands. And then the same thing here. And then push all of this down. And now one more layer. And then again remove the bottom layer, so 2 bands. I'm moving a little faster here, so if you're having trouble keeping up, you can always pause. And now push all of this down. And now if you want to, you can leave your flowers just like this. So if you do it like this, it's going to leave a hollow area in the center where you're going to be able to see down through to the bracelet. I can show you an example on another bracelet. See how you can see the middle of the bracelet there. Or what we can do is narrow the flower down to 3 pins, which is what I am going to do. And then it will come out like this, so you really don't see that bracelet in the middle. It's more closed in the center. And if you did use yellow, it would look like this in the center. If you used yellow for that 3rd layer instead of the same color. So what I'm going to do is narrow all of these down to 3 pins. So I'll just start here with this one we were just working on. And what I'm going to do is start on this center pin, and I just want to get these bands off of here. So I'm going to take this top band, get it on my hook and move it over, and then take the next band and move it up to the top row on the end here. And then I want to take the bottom band and pull it over the top for each of these to secure that in place. And now I want the bands on this pin to come off. So again, I'm going to take the top one. You can see where the one end of the band started over here. So we don't want to put it back on itself. I want it to go follow around here. And now the same thing for this band. I want it to come into the middle. And then I'm going to take that bottom band on each of those pins and pull it over the top. So now you can see we've narrowed it to 3 pins. I'm going to do that for all of the flowers. So again, in this center row, we want to get it down to just 1 pin in the middle. So I will start here. I'll take this top band and just move it into the middle. Take the other band and move it down. And now take that bottom band from each of these pins, pull it over the top. And now for this one, I'm going to take the band on top and move it down, and take the other band and move it over. And now take that bottom band from each of those pins and pull it over the top. Again, I'm repeating this here for the next flower. I want these bands to move in. I just want to be left with a center one. So I'll start here. This band is going to come off and move to the center. This band's going to move up to that top row. And then the bottom band will come over the top. And now for this one, this top band will move up and this other band will move over. Again, bottom band comes over the top. And then finally, I'm getting these bands to move off of these pins. I'll start here on the right. Top band comes to the left in the center. Bottom band comes down. Remove that bottom layer, just that one bottom band from each of those. And now this one, take the top band and move it down. Take this bottom band and move it over. And again, remove that bottom band from each of those 2 pins. So now I have narrowed all of the flowers down to 3 pins. And now I'm going to turn my loom around so that the arrows are facing away from me. And it's time to start the rest of the bracelet. So I'll be starting on the center pin. I'm always going to be taking 2 bands at once as I'm putting this on. It's going to go up to the top. And again, I'm going to be taking 2 bands at once. I'm just going to work my way up this top row. Always doing 2 bands at once. Just putting it right on top of where the flowers are. So I will fast forward here. And now for these last 2 bands, they're going to go into that center pin. And then I'm going to go back to the start here, again with the arrows facing away from me. and I'm going to just do the other side. So I'm taking 2 bands and moving it to that bottom row, and now I'm just going to work my way up this side again, always with 2 bands, just going right on top of those flowers. You can push them down if you need to, and you want to be pushing these down as well as you're putting them on, because you will need to add more on top of these. And then again, as you get to the top, the last 2 bands are going to move into the center. And then again, back to the start. And this time we're going to do that center row. Again, 2 bands at once, and always push down. And now finally we're going to place the cap bands. So again, we're going back to the start, arrows facing away from you, and you're going to take 1 single band, and it's going to stretch across from one side to the other and then forward, making like a triangle. So if you need to push any of the bands down to fit these on, that's fine. The pins do get very full. We're just going to keep doing this until we get to the end. And then this will be the last one that I place. I'm not doing it on the very end. And then on this very last pin in that center row, we're going to place 1 cap band that is doubled. So I'm going to place it on my hook, twist, put it back on so that it is doubled, and put it right on the top. And now I'm going to turn the loom completely around, so now the arrows are facing towards me, and then it's time to start looping the bands. So what you're going to do is start in the center here. Now as you can see, there are a lot of bands on this pin. You have 2 bands on top, which is your cap band. Then the next set of bands is going forward. Then the next set of bands is going to that top row, and then finally the last set is going to the bottom. So you're going to take your hook, push back on the top 2 cap bands, grab the next 2 bands in line, hold this cap band in place, and move that out and forward. Now again, you're going down inside, pushing back on the top 2, grabbing the next 2 bands. That's going to come out. Again, you need to hold this in place. It wants to come off, but we're not going to let it. And move that to that top row. And then finally, pushing back on the top 2 bands, grabbing those last 2 bands, and moving it down to that bottom row. And now what I'm going to do is just work my way up one side of the loom. So I'll do the top here. I'm reaching down inside. There's going to be cap bands on all of these pins, so you want to make sure you're in the center of the pin. So the cap band is behind your hook. There's going to be 4 bands on the top we want to push back on. Just grab these bottom 2, pull them out and forward. Again, you're pushing back on the cap band, grab those bottom 2 white, out, and then forward. Again, repeat that. And then once again, pushing back on that cap band, grabbing those bottom 2 white, and moving forward. Now here's our first flower. So what we're doing is we're going down inside of that cap band, grabbing the top 2 white bands, pulling them out and forward, putting it right on the top. Now you need to go back down through this same one, push back on that cap band, grab the 2 red, and again move them forward as well. So now this next pin is going to be the same. You're going down through the middle, grab those top 2 white, and get them to move forward. Again, going back down through that same pin, this time picking up the 2 red and moving forward. And now for the next several, we'll only have the 2 whites. You want to push back on the cap band and make sure you're getting both whites at once. Just work our way up. You shouldn't have to really fight these bands. They should come out relatively easily. And now here we have our flower again. So this time we're going down through the cap band, get the 2 white, and go forward. And now go back down through, get the 2 red, and move forward. And now on this last one, we again have a flower. So you're going down through the middle, you're grabbing those 2 white bands on the top, and this time they're going to move into the center. And then the same thing for the 2 red, they're coming out and moving into the center, right on the top. And now I'm going to go back to the start, again with the arrows facing towards me, and this time I'm going to do the bottom row here. Now it's a bad angle for me to show this, so I will do my best. So you're going down through, there's going to be 4 white bands on the top. You're going to push back, just grab those bottom 2 white, pull it out. You can hold this in place if you need to, and move them forward. And now again, you're going down through. This time we have a pink flower. Push back on the top bands. Grab those 2 white bands. Pull them out and forward. Go back down through the same here. Get the 2 pink bands and move them out and forward. And now for the next pin, repeat that pattern. Always making sure that cap band is behind your hook. You're getting the 2 white, and then going back down through, grabbing those 2 pink, and now for these next several, we'll only have white to deal with. Sometimes they want to be stubborn. If you feel like something's caught and it didn't quite release, what you can do is take your hook and just trace it around the outside of that pin carefully. Don't put too much pressure on your hook. You don't want it to break, and that will help release it. And now from here, again, we're going down through. I apologize if my hand is in the way. As I said, it's a very bad angle for me to show this row. And then again, going down through, grabbing those 2 white bands, and going forward. And again. Now we're up to the flower, so you're going down through, grabbing the top 2 white bands and then going back down through and grabbing the 2 pink. Now we're repeating that again. You're getting the 2 white. They're not always easy to do. And now we want the 2 pink. Pulling them up. Now we have just the whites here. And again, just 2 white. And then finally, these 2 white go into the center. And now we're going back to the start, and this time we have just the center row to do. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it as well, but you're going down through, pushing back on the top. You got the 2 white. And now again we have a flower here, so you have the 2 white to come forward. And going back down through, you have the 2 pink. Now we go down through the middle and we have just white. And then again the same. Now this time we have a red, so I'm going down through. I'll get the 2 white and then the 2 red. On to the next, just the 2 white. Same thing again. Now I have pink, so I am getting the 2 white. And then the 2 pink. Now we have just the 2 white. And again. And then finally we have the white and red. So I'm getting just the white and then also the red. And then that's it. So the last thing we're going to do is get another white band. I'm going to go down through this top center pin, put my hook down through. There are a lot of bands on here to go through. You want to place this on your hook, and you can twist your hook a little bit as you're pulling it up so you don't catch any other ones. And then put the other end back on. And now it's time to take this off of the loom. So you just want to very carefully, especially where the flowers are, pull this off. It's going to be tight. And you don't want any bands breaking as you're in the home stretch here. And then here is what it looks like. So you will probably have to play around with it a little bit. The flowers might not be perfect. You can fluff around with them, make sure that they get even. And as far as the bracelet itself goes, you might have to try and tug at that and get it straight. Same thing for the whole thing. Just take a couple of minutes and try and get everything as nice as possible. So you can see that the length of this bracelet is not going to be all that long, and you will need to add an extension. So I will show you how to do that. So to add an extension, what you want to do is take your loom with the arrows facing away from you. And we're just going to work on this bottom row here. Take whatever color you want for your extension. I'll just use white. And I'm going to do 4 bands. Just keep putting them right next to each other. And now I'm going to take these 2 loose bands that are on my hook and get them on this last pin here. And then what I'm going to do is reach down in through the middle, grab this white band and pull it back. I'm just going to keep repeating that. Until I get to the end. And then I'm going to take a clip. I have an S clip here. I'm just going to take these 2 bands on my hook, pull this off, and then hook these 2 bands through this clip. And now I'm going to take another white band, and I'm going to take the other end here, and I will put it through the middle, the 2 middle bands. And I'm going to pull this through and put it back on my hook. And then again, I'm going to string 4 more rubber bands in that same way. And again, I'm getting these 2 bands that are on the hook. Going to make sure they both get on this pin. And then I'm just going to reach in through the center and pull back. And then I'm going to take this off. And then with these 2 bands on my hook, I'm going to hook them through the other side of the S clip. And then here is my bracelet. And I will show you another bracelet that I made. So for this one, I used the length of 2 looms. And you can see I used 2 different colored greens for the background. I have like a very light green and then a shiny metallic green. And then I used all different colors for the flowers. And you can see how long that is. And so this was the wide flower sculpture bracelet. So I hope you liked the video. You can always leave me comments on YouTube or Facebook, or send me pictures. I would love to see what you've made. You can always subscribe to me so you will be updated on all of the new bracelets that I will have coming out. Thanks!